Can Caitlyn Clark's return power Indiana Fever to spoil New York Liberty's perfect season? Caitlyn Clark is back. The Indiana Fever are ready to get back on track, and there may even be an undefeated season spoiled in the process. The 2024 Rookie of the Year's return from a 5-game absence re-elevates Saturday's rematch with the reigning champion New York Liberty to must-watch TV in a prime afternoon time slot. TV decision-makers are surely breathing sighs of relief after the meeting of heavyweights at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC, hung in the balance of Clark's health for more than 2 weeks. There's prestige and money on the line. The Clark-led Fever, 4-5, are aiming to be the first to knock off the Liberty, 9-0, in 2025 after their last-second thriller of a first meeting added juice to the matchup. So, 2. Does the weight of a Commissioner's Cup championship berth and its ensuing payout? The Fever need to win to stay in contention, while the Liberty don't want to fall behind or lose ground on home court advantage. Clark will provide a much-needed return to form, as the front office built this Fever offense around her and watched it sputter without their MVP candidate running the show. They also anticipate the return of guard Sophie Cunningham, ankle, opening up their offensive playbook further with more weapons at their disposal, even if it feels like April all over again. It is like starting day one again and regrouping in terms of gelling with this group, head coach Stephanie White told reporters on Friday. I thought, again, just from yesterday to today, it looked much better. So growing it quickly is going to be important for us. The 2-3 run without Clark hit a low on Tuesday in a 19-point drubbing to Atlanta, 77-58, that featured season lows across the offensive board. While they fell, the Liberty continued to fly high in an open and close shutdown of the Chicago sky. The team, full of potential MVP vote earners, is torching the rest of the league behind a plus 171 overall point differential. They're WNBA champions, they have Olympians, they have veterans, White said, praising their established chemistry and addition of point guard Natasha Cloud. Cloud will likely draw the primary assignment on Clark as she did in the first game, shutting Clark down in a controversial ending on national TV. Clark ranks top 10 in scoring average, 19 ppg, third in three-pointers per game, 2.8, and first in assists, 9.3 APG, over 4 games played. She said on Friday she wants to be patient getting back into the flow with teammates and has the mindset of, I don't need to make up for lost time. Clark traveled with the team while rehabbing the quad injury, joining assistant coaches on the bench with her own paper and pen. White said they had Clark tracking trends to better recognize mismatches, switches, scoring droughts, and a failure to string together quality shots. Reading defensive coverages and thinking through how to counteract them in real time is something Clark said on Friday that the entire team needs to work on, and she gained an advantage in that from the bench. It's hard to really look at the game from the whole perspective on the floor, and I think that's a lot easier when you're out, Clark said. Anticipation built this week for a return that, when the team announced Clark's quad injury last month, was initially slated for earlier in the week. Clark, out since May 24th, and Cunningham, May 30th, stacked reps with player development coach Keith Porter before the team's shoot-around on Tuesday in Atlanta. She's been doing some on-court workouts, and she got into a little bit of practice yesterday in a controlled environment and will continue to build on that, White said ahead of Tuesday's loss. Getting workouts outside of practice is one thing. Getting back into game flow, rhythm, timing, movement patterns, and getting up and down the floor is a completely different thing. So that ramp-up stage is more practice time, and fortunately we're able to get it this week. The Fever returned to Indianapolis that night with 3 full days off before Saturday's contest. Clark and Cunningham returned to practice on Thursday. Their return will deliver an immediate boost to the offense that likes a heavy dose of pick-and-roll action between Clark and Aliyah Boston, and spacing for shooters to get off 3-point attempts or drives. The absence of Clark and her ever-lengthening shooting range shrunk the court, and the Liberty's surging defense would have feasted on the offering. The Liberty game appeared from the start to be the most likely for Clark's return, given the rest lead-up and the implications. New York, 3-0 in Cup play, Indiana, 2-1, and Atlanta, 1-1, are vying for the Eastern Conference Commissioner's Cup title game berth. The Fever need to win against the Liberty to stay alive. New York and Atlanta play at Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Tuesday in the Cup finale that could become a winner-take-all contest. New York is running up the score on opponents for a potential tiebreaker. The conference winner with the best winning percentage hosts the title game on July 1st. The tilt still won't be settled at full strength. The Fever anticipate going without veteran wing wnba, who has been away from the team for personal reasons. The Liberty are without Leonie Fiebig, their starting forward, who is out temporarily while playing in Eurobasket, and potentially without center Jonquil Jones, the Liberty's double-double pace setter and fourth-quarter dagger in that first matchup, missed a game this week with a sprained ankle. She returned to practice on Thursday. No matter the personnel available, these games could determine playoff seeding by season's end. Indiana's bumpy start doesn't take away from its championship intentions, and it will need to make up ground in the race for a top 4 seed. Those that fall out of the top 4 go on the road to begin the first round of the playoffs.
And how happy are you that you're 26 hours away from it being over?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's definitely been a process. I think the hardest part is when you begin to feel really good, and then it's just a process of working yourself back into actually getting up and down, and getting out there with my teammates. And obviously that can be a little difficult at the same time when they're prepping for other games that I know I'm not going to be available in. But I think the medical staff, I have to give them a lot of credit. I think they did a really good job, and just have tried to control my mindset the whole time that I've been out and learn from the bench. I think it can teach you a lot of different things, and yeah, it was certainly a learning opportunity, and I think it's going to benefit me, a lot throughout my career, just falling back and understanding, certain moments like this. But I'm super, super excited. I'm antsy to get out there and probably shake off a little bit of rust and play.
Were you targeting this game just because it is the Liberty, it's national TV and all those things?
I mean, not necessarily. I think it's, obviously I wanted to be back as soon as possible, but with this type of injury, it's just kind of like a day-to-day thing to see how I feel and see how my body responds to, everything that we're doing. And, honestly, over the course of the 2 weeks, I responded really, really well, which was positive. It's sometimes hard to tell exactly, how many layers of your quad were, tore up a little bit. So you just kind of go with the flow and see how it feels. But, obviously this is a really big game for us coming off of a loss and still, in the standings for Commissioner Cup if we can find a way to win tomorrow.
Caitlyn, what was the barrier for your return, whether that was pain, conditioning, things like that?
I mean, there was imaging done to tell that my leg is okay. We're not guessing, we're not going off of feeling. So I can find confidence in that we know we weren't able to find anything or see anything, and that was kind of my all clear. I knew I was feeling really good, so that wasn't a surprise by any means, that it looked that way when we had the imaging done. But yeah, I mean, I felt really good, and then honestly, just sprinting change of direction and sprinting in the game of basketball, that's, the biggest part of it. So me feeling comfortable to be able to do those type of things and those type of movements, and I've been doing that for a little bit now, and I feel really confident in that. So after we saw the imaging, I was good to go.
This is the first time you've had to ramp back up in season after an injury, and I guess the first time you've had an injury in 5 years. Just what has that experience been like, just ramping back up in season?
Yeah, I think it's just having the mindset of, I don't need to make up for lost time, just being patient and getting back into the flow of things, getting back into the flow of playing with my team. We changed a little bit of what we did on offense when I was out, just certain actions that we had to be more intentional in, just because, we didn't play out pick and roll as much, because that's what I like to do. And, some of my teammates, that's not their best strength. They have other strengths, so playing to those strengths more. So just getting back into the flow of doing some of those types of things. But yeah, I think just getting out there and just continuing to build my chemistry with my teammates and playing fast, playing up tempo, I think that's going to be the best for us.
What was your treatment, rehab? What did all that like?
Yeah, I mean, anything under the sun I basically did. A lot of needling, a lot of, when you do treatment and rehab, you're still lifting. You're almost lifting heavier than probably what I would be doing on a day like today when preparing for a game. Just trying to strengthen my muscles, my left leg and my right leg. Literally anything I tried it, red light therapy, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, we do it all. And the same goes even when I'm feeling healthy, it's a big part of it, massages, everything. So just being very intentional about that. And now that I do feel good, still staying on top of that and continuing to do that so I don't have any sort of setbacks, I think is going to be really important.
Okay, so you said you learned a lot while you were sitting out.
Yeah.
Stuff that you were going to carry throughout your career. What exactly did you learn?
I think for us, as a whole group, is there's certain things in games that we have to be able to see a little bit faster and earlier in the games, depending like how they're guarding us, how they're guarding certain actions, things we're doing in coverage that maybe aren't working, and how can we manipulate that? How can we put people in certain screening actions to get exactly what we want? Because, you come into a game, you have a scouting report, you have a game plan, but it's not always going to be exactly what you think. And it's obviously easier on the side. And I was talking to quite a few of my teammates. I'm like, I know it's so hard. Like when I'm out on the bench, it's easier for me to just process the action of what's going on. When you're in the game and you have the ball in your hands, you're thinking about so many different things. You're trying to dribble, you're trying to drive, you're trying to pass, you're looking for your teammates, you're thinking about shooting. So it's hard to really, look at the game from the whole perspective of everybody on the floor. And I think that's a lot easier when you're out. So I think it also just shows, give your teammates grace. There's a lot that's going on within, the action of being up and down, and just reminding myself, I have to be out there to help them as much as I can as a point guard.
What do you remember from the last time you played the Liberty?
I think we started off a little bit slow. Our defense was pretty bad in the first half. I think we really turned it around in the second half. I think our scouting report is going to be really important. I thought we were poor in that area the last time we played them. We didn't execute schemes in the way we wanted to, and obviously they pose quite a bit of a challenge with the lineups that they have, with everybody that can shoot 1 through 5, and then you got Stewie at the 4. So we'll try a lot of different things. It's just making sure everybody's on the same page and continuing to communicate. They're going to be physical, and I think just continuing to be intentional about who exactly we want in certain actions that we're running on offense, so we can get the looks that we need.
Your neighbors here are 2 wins from the rain.
Yeah, happy for them.
Is that right now?
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. I'm just really happy for them. I don't think Rick gets, enough credit for what he's been able to do. Obviously, one of the best coaches of all time. Has a great basketball mind, and the way they play basketball is not, not a lot of people still play that way in today's world. And I think young kids, if you watch basketball, you turn on and watch the Pacers. It's unselfish. They play for each other. They play fast. They play up tempo. They do things the right way. Whether you're a starter or whether you're coming off the bench, you're giving everything you can to your team, and it's really fun to watch. And more than anything, they're just really great people, and they're good guys. So yeah, I've been really, really fortunate to be here during this time. So hopefully they can finish it out in 5, because I won't be able to come for Game 6. So I'll have to make an appearance tonight, even though we play at 3. I'll be there at least for a little bit. So hopefully they can win tonight as well.
Thank you.